What are the commonalities among leaders who sustain excellence over an extended period of time?
All right, Pistol, it's number 500. Age, good to see you. It's been about 2 years since number 400. Give me an update. Pistol, you want to go first? What have you been doing the last 2 years?
Oh, the last 2 years, a lot has happened. Most notably, we kind of lived through all the COVID stuff and got out the other side of it. And during that time, your mom and I built a house in Florida, which I am sitting in right now, brand new to us. And I'm having a great time down here. I went on a long kayak tour yesterday. We work out every day and meeting a bunch of new friends. So
love it. Age, what's going on the last 2 years?
I think honestly, I guess 2 years ago we recorded. It's pretty similar to what I was doing 2 years ago. I think that was probably early on as I started doing stuff 5 days a week with the Pat McAfee Show and joining Pat every day. But same thing, I'm doing that right now. Drive to Indy every Friday. It's the only little travel I have to do. Drive to Indy and host the show there from studio, as Pat is on game day now, so he comes in remote on Friday, and that's pretty much, as far as my professional life, pretty much the same, and I hope to continue. I don't want to change it anytime soon. I like doing it.
Hold on a second. We got. Uh-oh.
No.
Speaking of them, the timing is pretty good. I hope you can hear and see. If you're watching on YouTube, you could certainly see the guy, the jacked dude who showed up.
Jocked.
In the corner of the screen. I am so glad, Pat, that you're here. For those who somehow may not know Pat, the punter of the decade for the Indianapolis Colts, one of the greatest punter athletes of all time, one of the biggest hits I've seen on a human against Trendon Holiday on a kickoff, has since now gone on to retire, I think, early, and then change the game when it comes to building a media empire, future billionaire. I am pumped to introduce Pat McAfee on the Learning Leader Show. Welcome, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, Pistol. You look fantastic. Ryan, congrats on 500, huh? Hey, let's go. This ain't easy, dude. It ain't easy to get to 500. It ain't having that type of brain. Thank you for inviting me on here to acknowledge the Hawk family. But 500 episodes is something that is worthy of a celebration. You should be excited, Ryan. I know we're talking about me, and you said a lot of nice things, and future billionaire probable. Depending upon how much I want to work, we'll see how it goes. I've been kind of, looking at that whole thing. That's not what it's all about. It's about having a good time. But you've done 5. Let's go, dude. That is not easy at all, Ryan. You should be pumped up about that, honestly.
Thank you, man. The way you approach your work is inspiring, man. I saw a quote that you put on Instagram from time to time that's hanging up in the Thunderdome, your studio, that's from Steve Jobs. I want you to talk about it. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you, and you can change it. You can influence it. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same. Pat, tell me what that quote means to you.
Well, the people that are smarter than me, there happens to be 3 of them right now on this particular program. And AJ, obviously right below. AJ, you're the best, dude. AJ, love you, man. Honestly.
You look great.
Thank you. Great. Your brother said I look jocked. I don't think
you do look jocked. Why'd you come on here? You didn't tell me. Was this a surprise?
Yeah, surprise.
How did this even happen?
What do you mean, how did this happen? Me and Ryan are friends. Remember I watched him beat the shit out of the Lake Tahoe, and we became friends out there. We started chit-chatting. We became tight buddies. Right. Pistol, it is an honor. Honestly, Pistol, you have done a great job. You've done a great job, but not only with the creature below me that I get to talk to every single day, but 500 episodes in leadership podcasting, making the world a better place. Pistol, you should be incredibly proud. I want to let you know that you should.
I am proud, and I'm proud that Age is working with you these days, man. I hope I conveyed some of that on your birthday video a year or two ago when we all sat down and toasted you.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable. We'll never do that again, hopefully. But I do appreciate you being a part of that. The boys put that together. I think, Steve Jobs, bad dad, not like Pistol. Steve Jobs, terrible dad, bad dad, but certainly an innovator and a man who changed the entire world. And a lot of his quotes have resonated with me ever since even college, going back to the day. I think he's a profound speaker. I think he was. Rest in peace. Obviously, should have got some medicine, chose not to. Chose, that whole conversation is certainly warranted there. But some of his quotes about, the world is that one in particular. It kind of lays out how you're supposed to live your life. You're supposed to go to school. You're supposed to get a job. You're supposed to make a little bit of money. You're supposed to have a family. You're supposed to just kind of stay within these barriers that have already been created. And then you'll die. And then the next generation does the exact same thing. And then the quote about how everything around you was created by people that are no smarter than you. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true, especially if you're Steve Jobs. You're much smarter than I am. But I've gotten a chance to kind of peek behind the veil at a lot of different places and got a chance to meet the high up people that are making decisions in these multi-billion-dollar operations. And I do believe that in some situations, that quote rings very true. There's a lot of dumbasses in a lot of very important positions around the world. And I find that to be inspiring. I find that to be motivating. I think it's a message to everybody that anybody could do it. And, I'm lucky that we're in the middle of a run right now that is dumb. Ryan, this run is very dumb. I'm experiencing with game day now. There's signs in every single city we go to talking about freeing Gumpy from Canada. I mean, it is just, it's an amazing thing that we're on right now. But I've just always had that, like, let's go and do it type mindset. And I'm lucky it's working out, Ryan. I'm very lucky it's working out right now.
You have like a magnetic personality where I watched this in Tahoe when we got to see just how so many famous people respond to you. They all want to be a part of Pat McAfee's life. It's
Hey,
wild.
Weird,
it really is.
Weird moment. That was a weird. What's that guy's name from Saturday Night Live?
Colin Jost. I was right there when he's like, "Hey, I want to come on your show," and you're like, "You're far too smart for our show, sir." And right, it was bizarre to see how people respond to you, man.
Pistol, it was a weird situation. Me and AJ are just standing there. We're just sitting there. Colin Jost, who's like been the lead writer of Saturday Night Live, one of the institutions of all time, very famous, married to Scarlett Johansson. Like, this dude has been A-list celebrity. And we're just standing because there's a little bit of a bottleneck at that particular hole. We're standing behind it. He comes up. He introduces himself to me. I don't know if AJ had already known him. And then he goes, "I'm a big fan of the show," or whatever. Would love to come on. And like, my immediate reaction as I see this guy walking up to me, I'm trying to process who it is. I'm like, "Oh, that's a Saturday Night Live guy." And then he like comes in. I'm like, "Oh, that's the important Saturday Night Live guy. Like, that's the lead writer guy." So as soon as he said something like that, I'm like, "Oh, no way. Hey, do not let us ruin your legacy. Like, you don't need us to do that to you." That's just like my natural reaction. I think I've always felt that way. I'm very lucky that people, have gravitated towards our show. I think it's because of the vibe that we all kind of set in there. But I've always just been a guy that likes to enjoy life. Like, I honestly always have. I come from a very hardworking family. My dad worked his ass off, still does, probably too much, needs to lay down every once in a while, refuses to do so because he's just a working grunt, you know what I mean? But I've gotten a chance to do a lot of cool things, travel the world a lot, and I just try to enjoy everything. And that with the work ethic that my dad instilled in me, I think it's kind of come together for success. But I ask myself very often why this is good, why this is working. Haven't got an answer yet, and hopefully we'll just continue to figure it out as we go on here, Ryan.
You also seem to get so much joy out of making your close friends and people beyond that really happy. I watched the video when you handed the duffel bags of $50,000 to all of your boys after one of your initial deals that you got done. You've since given much more money out to them and others. And that video was awesome. I watched it with my family, actually, Pat, because it just showed them, like, look how much joy this guy gets out of taking care of his friend. That's inspiring, man. I want to do that. Can you just walk me through how you think about taking care of your boys and doing it with them?
Well, it's kind of been the goal, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you. That's been the goal ever since, forever. Like, I want to make enough money to kind of take care of everybody and have a good time with life. Like, that was the only goal for work. Like, how do I go about making that happen? In high school, I was recruited a lot more for soccer than I was for football. A lot more, like probably 15 to 20x more for soccer than I was for football. But business decision, wanted to be rich in America, not rich in Europe. The reason I wanted to be rich in America is because I wanted to be rich with my family and my friends. I wanted to enjoy it. So then I get in the NFL, and AJ, you probably experienced this, especially at number 5 overall. Oh, that money. Oh, that early, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. Nonetheless, you probably experienced this. I had a lot of money. I was able to go on these trips and have a good time, but all my friends were working. So I'd go back to, like, I would take my vacations to Pittsburgh where all my friends were still working. And like on a Wednesday night, I'd be forcing them to go out to like Tequila Sunshine or something like that on like a basic Pittsburgh bar on like a Wednesday night, because like that was really what, like, let's have a good time. Let's enjoy it. I've always wanted to do it with my people. And like this avenue has kind of showed up and it's been perfect for it all. But the group that I'm with right now, AJ included, obviously every single day, these dudes are awesome, Ryan. Like these guys are. So the reason why I get so excited whenever we accomplish something is because these dudes work their asses off. These guys have bought in completely to what we're trying to do. These dudes show up here every day trying to make everybody's life better. It's like whenever you have that type of stuff with what we got going on, it's magical. I'm very lucky to do it every single day. And, you know, my wife and I just announced this morning that, you know, we are pregnant. We just finished the first trimester. We've been through a long road, 2 ectopic pregnancies, 2 surgeries in which I thought my wife was potentially going to die because of internal bleeding, then IVF here, and we're past the first trimester. So we felt comfortable enough to tell the world about it. Like, I just hope that my kid, you know, if I'm lucky enough to have a child at this point, which I keep saying, but it's a very real thing for what we've been through. I hope my kid has a work ethic, and I hope my kid has like a sense of joy for life. Like just try to enjoy everything. Even if I'm in a terrible situation, you will hear me say, this is awesome, just because I know the story of me talking about this to other people is going to be awesome. So if I'm in a terrible situation, I'm trying to get as much information as possible out of it. I try to make it an enjoyment because I know at one point in the future, this is going to be a hilarious story and a hilarious night to tell. So I'm always looking like that, and I appreciate you acknowledging it, Ryan. I honestly do. I appreciate it.
H, jump in here about your relationship with Pat while we're all together. I know Pat's got to get ready for the show today, but I want you to say your piece too.
Yeah, a lot of prep.
Well, Pat, like he said if you look, if he's in a terrible situation, he say, this is awesome. I've been in a few of those with you, Pat. And they're not even like, I guess you do have Pat does have like, he's like Chris Angel. He's like a magician where we can be in a terrible situation that nobody wants to be at. And it can become something
like
that
what?
we talk about for years later.
No.
Yeah.
No reason.
There's multiple specifics. I'm not pointing to one thing, but I'm just saying there's been a couple things where over the time where he's like, hey, you should come to this with me. And instant, nope, no chance, not doing it. I'm busy, got something going on. Usually I'm trapped actually staying in the vicinity or in the same house that Pat is actually rented for us. So I can't really get out of it. And I show up and we do stuff and we hang out and we go to have an event or whatever that we thought would be terrible. And it turns out we talk about it for the next 6 months, year, 2 years, 3 years, because we get there and like Pat says, like this, he definitely lives it. But you said like, this is like, everything is like a movie. Everyone's like a character in a movie. And especially when I am with Pat, I easily slide right into that mode and I can hang out and enjoy it myself too with him. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that, Ryan. I view life as a movie, and it's not the right way to go about things. I apologize because I'm probably not as serious as I should be in things. But if like some asshole comes walking in and is yelling at me, I'm like, oh, this is a scene in a movie right now that we're going to be talking about in like 15. And then that person like leaves and was like, hey, how about when, and I have a pretty good memory too. My memory pretty solid. So that has been, you know, I don't know when that's going to go, Pistol. I hope that it'll just remain forever. But yeah, I think that's just an easier way for me to get through life. That's how I've done. I'm not saying everybody does it, but AJ and I have, we've conquered some terrible situations, and immediately after all of them, it is like tears laughing, like immediately afterwards, which I don't know if that's how it normally is, but that's kind of how my life has been. So AJ, I appreciate the hell out of your presence in my life though, bud. You have really added something to not only our show, but to our lives that I think is the missing piece for our business. You're like the missing puzzle piece, pal, that somehow drops in from Ohio with your toxicity. And it's a dream fit for us. And we're very appreciative of you, honestly.
Well,
very
I said before you jumped on, I didn't know you were jumping on. Ryan asked me what I've been doing the last couple of years since him and Pistol recorded together. And I said pretty much the same as I've been doing with you. And I hope to continue to do it for a long time because I've said a million times, like, you and the boys are awesome. It's fun, man. I haven't interacted with a big group of people that much and actually continue to enjoy speaking with them. in my life, I don't think, as much as I do with all you guys. I don't know if that's a slam like to other people. I don't mean it as a slight to anyone else. I mean it as a compliment to you and the boys, 100%.
Yeah, good group. We got a good group here, good dudes. We got good dudes here, you know, and you fit in perfectly. And it makes sense after I met Ryan. I'm like, oh, the whole family's awesome. And Pistol, you know, I hope to be able to share at least
he's a power lifter.
What is you're a power lifter, Pistol? You're lifting right now?
I lift. I'm not a power lifter, but I'm doing the right things. I'm doing the right things you do when you're retired. Take care of yourself.
You smoking dope?
Not going to comment on that.
I enjoy that. I didn't know if those were the right things for retirement. But Pistol, hopefully we'll get to hang out one time as well. And Ryan, congrats on 500 episodes, dude. Not easy. Honestly, a lot of people quit. A lot of people can't put the time in. It's also like, you know what they say college is? College, I didn't learn anything in college. I didn't graduate from college. I didn't learn anything academically. Now, my major was not great. I mean, I didn't show up to class. I didn't graduate. I mean, I actually had to write a letter to the teachers my senior year and say, please just don't drop me from the class because I'm not going to be here, but I need 12 hours to be eligible for the season. So I need you not to drop me. That's all. Like, give me an F. I'm cool with it. Just, that was my college experience. It's not great, not good for West Virginia, but I was able to get through whatever. Nonetheless, they say like if you stick with something for 4 years though, and you graduate, like that's a big tell for a lot of people that are hired. Like college, what you're learning exactly might not carry over to the real world, but what we're all learning about you if you graduated from college is that you're able to stick with something for at least 4 years, you're able to get it done, and you're able to move on. Doing 500 episodes, the amount of commitment, discipline, and work that takes is something that I think we all have learned about Ryan Hawk being an incredibly badass dude, but your leadership, the words that you say are great. You should be incredibly proud, pal, and I'm thankful that you asked me to come on here.
Thank you, man. I know you got to run. What's next for you guys? Future billionaire, you're going to take over the world when it comes to the new media. There's millions of people following, trying to do what you've already done, and you've just scratched the surface. What's next?
Well, we'd like to obviously say thank you to Draymond Green and LeBron for starting the new media and giving us I'm not going to even take it. I love everybody that's getting into new media. I like the modern media. I like the free media. You know, I like that people have access to be able to watch and hear things that are of good content as opposed to necessarily a couple different outlets controlling what people hear and the stories that we're able to tell and the personalities we're able to meet. Like, I think that's just what we'll continue to do. Business wise, I shut down all negotiations during the season so that we could have a season here. And that was kind of a funny time because that never happens, I don't think, in the business world, especially in the media business world, where we're in the middle of a negotiation with somebody, pretty large negotiation. And I go, hey, we got a deadline. You know, it's like Lamar Jackson being like, when Rams and Chiefs kick off on Thursday Night Football to kick off this 2022 season, I'm going to be difficult to get a hold of. So if we were going to get a deal done, it's going to have to be in like the next 3 days. Like, we're going to have to do this. So whenever the season ends, I'm excited to see what conversations continue. I'm excited to see what conversations pop up. I think the only thing that I've like maintained and said is that our show will always remain free. Like, that will be now YouTube's free. There's other platforms that are free. That's really my only goal, is to keep the main show, continue to grow that, keep that good vibes, keep it free. But who knows what else will pop up? I mean, I was in WrestleMania last year. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in college game day. It's the dumbest life of all time. Things are presenting themselves because of the great group of people I hang out with. And I think the future is bright though, right? I think so.
I think you got a shot, man. I think so. I'm so grateful for you to pop on with us, man. I know you got to get ready for the show. So I'd encourage everybody, for somehow you don't know about Pat and AJ's show, 12 o'clock every day, YouTube. Talk about consistency, man. Like, that's every day is insane. That's insane to do it. And I'm so impressed by all the stuff you do, including in the weekends with game day on Saturdays. And you've really, I think, made that show kind of, you can't really miss it anymore. So big on them for signing you. Good on you for doing it, because now I love watching ESPN Game Day on Saturday because you're a part of it, man.
It was a great show before I got there. Obviously, that's what Ryan Hawk meant. But I do feel like I am in a good fit there. I feel like I'm in a good fit there. That is wrestling and football coming together. It feels like that is the proper spot for me. And obviously, another Ohio, I don't know what the language is.
Centerville Elk.
Yeah. Kirk Herbstreit and I have great rapport. So that helps whenever you're on air. I mean, that is obviously something good. Reese Davis, great host. Desmond Howard, good guy. Coach Corso, I think he's going to be back. That stuff has been, I get his phone number. Okay. Me and Coach Corso are going to become paisanos, because he's Italian. We're going to become friends. I get his phone number. Then the next week's Clemson, he's not there. So I thought we were about to become real tight because I have nothing but utmost respect for that man. And then all of a sudden, some medical stuff starts popping up because he's like 80 something years old or whatever, still runs and walks very fast and talks fast. He's unbelievable. But I appreciate that. Saturday mornings have been tough though, because of what you said about every day. We're going Monday through Friday, like 3-4 hours every single day. And then Saturday mornings were my sleep. I used to sleep in on Saturday mornings because Sunday I got to watch all the games. So now no longer get to sleep, get to do like one of the most electrifying shows on TV. So it's had to alter the schedule a little bit, but I'm loving it. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I'm lucky to do it. And thank you for having me on, man. Good luck on the next 500, Ryan. Pistol, can't wait to lift and smoke with you in person. AJ, you're the man, bro. I'll see you guys soon.
See you soon.
Thanks, Pat. All right, man.
Thanks, man.
See you, man.
Pat.
Thank you. I wanted to surprise you, Age, have your colleague. I think you said, is this the only other company you've worked for other than the National Football League? Is Pat McAfee Industries, PMI is what it's called, right? Yeah,
PMI. Yeah, it definitely would be. I've done I guess I've always been independent contractor for FS1 for a little bit in different other places, little media things, but nothing as permanent, as consistent as I'm doing. Yeah, especially 5 days a week, no question. I didn't think I'd be doing that, but like I said before, I love doing it. Love doing it 5 days a week.
Love it. So a little detour for the people who don't know Pat, which I know there are some, like, what are you doing? I love Pat. I love the energy he brings, and I love that you and him get to hang out every day because I think it's amazing, the show and the what you guys do. So I'll get back to some of the regularly scheduled stuff that I sent you guys in the outline leading up to this one. I want to go to one of the questions from a guy named David Salvador, who is VP at GoGo Aviation. He said, what is the most impactful investment you can make in yourself for your career? Pistol, I want you to go first, and Age, you go. I'll go too, but let's go in that order. So what's the most impactful investment you can make in yourself in your career?
I think we've talked about this in the past, but I think it's important since he asked the question in that way. I think the most important skill that an individual can develop, and I'm speaking specifically in the business world, I guess, is the ability to speak in front of a group, be it a conference room where you're advocating for a position, be it a stage where you're giving a speech. I don't think you can make a more important personal investment for your profession than getting opportunities to get up in front of people and speak. Not just give a speech, but be able to react to criticism, to critique, to pointed questions, and come out the other side of it successful. And there are lots of ways to do that. Some of it's study, some of it is practicing for sure. A lot of it is having mentors or more formalized training to actually exercise the muscle and develop the muscle of speaking in front of other people. In my career, I think that was perhaps the most important element that allowed me to do what I was able to do.
No doubt. Age, how about you?
Man, that's kind of tough. I was trying to think what would be the most important as Pistol was talking, but speaking publicly, I think I guess there's obviously jobs where someone can isolate and they can be in a computer 18 hours a day and not have to interact with people. That person, maybe public speaking is not as big a deal, but eventually they're going to have to deal with people and superiors and coworkers. And I think being able to communicate with people and actually listen is huge. I try to do that. It's as you get older, you have kids. I think kids make me think about things all the time, way more than I did before I had any kids. And having 4 of them, they all have their own little individual issues. So I'm constantly figuring out okay, what can I do? How do I help? This kid, each kid has their own different little things going on or different issues they might come up. What can I learn, or how do I handle this to give them the best chance to get through it or to help them through it? And so it's always things like that, but I don't have any specifics. The only thing I know is listen, find a way to actually listen. 'Cause it's really hard to listen when someone starts speaking, like kids, they'll start speaking and they might be saying something man, I don't think they believe that. Like, it sounds wrong, it sounds rude or whatever, but just got to let them get it out. Let them finish. That's all. Like my daughter wants. She's 11. We ride in the car 30 minutes to and from school every day. She just wants me to sit. She wants, like, Dad, just please stop talking. If I'm like, well, you don't want to, well, you're still like, you're not going to quit though, or something. You try to chime in and say things like that. And she's like, no, I'm not, but just let me finish. And they just want to get everything out. Just want to speak and like get it out. And I think just being able to sit there and be like, okay, and not even have any response. Like, that's all people want. They want you to listen to them. And so
feel heard.
I think as I've gotten older, like, yeah, that's all. If I listen, you can usually kind of figure things out.
Brian, can I help add to his response? Because he's modest. And you've done this at least as much or more than I have around AJ, but through the years, when we speak to his teammates and coaches, to some degree, if you ask about age, they'll talk about the way he plays. But I think being a great teammate is not just something that happens automatically. It's actually a skill and a mindset. And becoming an exceptional teammate to others is not just a football thing. But I think if I pointed at AJ and say, especially at the professional level, what's maybe his greatest impact? It was being an important and a great teammate.
I agree, and I think you do the same thing with Pat and the boys too, and knowing your role, right? And Patrick Lencioni, we cut a little clip of this, and I sent it to you and Pat, but about when it's time to speak up, when it's time to let somebody else kind of run the show and know your role and play it well. I think that's a critical to why you guys do so well on your show. So I agree, Pistol. I think what I would say maybe a little bit more tangible is I would get a job in sales. If you don't know what to do, every single job in the world has an element of sales. Even if you don't have a quota or you don't carry a bag, you have to sell. Dan Pink's book, To Sell is Human, is a great one to read in addition to getting a job in sales. But I actually, at one of the companies I worked at, there was a senior executive who felt like he didn't fully understand the product well enough. He was a senior VP of product. He spent a full year as a sales rep selling the product with a full quota. I went on rides with him, and this guy got measurably better by the end of that 1 year. And then he went back to this senior role. It was really cool that he did this, but I thought it took a lot of guts and security in himself to do it. But I think get a job in sales or learn to sell something. Do Cutco knives. Do whatever you got to do.
Any sales at all? Like any kind of sales?
Anything, because the reason a big element of being an exceptional sales professional is exactly what you said, is you're a great listener. And you uncover, and I just had this conversation yesterday. I had a keynote, and afterwards we were talking about great sales professionals. I said the best ones are awesome at the discovery phase of the selling process. And the discovery phase is when you are primarily asking questions and listening. You're not pitching, you're waiting. Pistol, you know this. You wrote Get Real Selling all about this. You're waiting, you're listening, you're asking questions, you're taking notes. And eventually you will come back and show them how your solution will help solve their problems. But you have to figure out what their problems are. And that takes deep discovery. That takes a lot of questions. That takes great listening skill. That's not pitching. And you've told me this a long time ago. A great sales professional isn't a hard closer. It shouldn't be an exclamation point to get a deal. It should be the period at the end of a very long sentence. That's what great salesmanship is. And so I think if you're like me when you graduated and you played football and didn't think about anything else, that's what I think you should do. But even if you're not like me, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you're anything, you will be way more valuable to your company or to your business if you can sell. And so that would be an investment I would make in myself, is to learn and you could do this by reading sales books, right? You could do this but I think it helps to actually have a quota over your head and have to do it.
Don't you have to actually do it?
I
like
think
sales has got to be a reps thing too, I feel like.
I think so. I think I had no idea what I was doing at the beginning of it, and the repetitions and an immense amount of failure and rejection over and over and over helped me get better, as well as being around other people. I worked in an office I could hear people making calls. They could sit with me, I could sit with them. If I didn't have that first job at Lexus for those years, both as a retention rep and a new business rep, where I got to take care of current customers and then have to go get and hunt for new ones, if I didn't have that, the current stuff that I do, it wouldn't exist. It would not exist because there's so much element of this that is about that I learned as a sales professional, even though technically you wouldn't say that's what my job is now, but there's a huge part of it. I mean, I got to get guests. And so I got to write cold emails all the time. I have to convince famous people why it's worth an hour of their time, right? I had to send Pat a text to say, hey, I'd love you to do this. There was some salesmanship there, right? And so with all of these things, I think that's the advice I'd give to anybody, regardless of what you're going to do, is to learn to sell would be a great skill. Okay, let me do one more from a listener, and then I have some other kind of superlative type questions before we draft. Haley Erickson, she's someone who I've corresponded with over the years about her career, and she's a CPA now, doing great. She said, who is one of the most impactful people in your life, and how have they impacted you? This is a big one. Pistol, let's have you go first again.
So just broadly stated, impactful people in your life?
Yeah, one.
I'll pick one, but the precursor I'll give to it is I think it changes in different points in your life.
Yeah.
I remember a high school teacher, coach who I identified with in a huge way. And early in your career, you have mentors and models, and later in your career, it just changes. So, and by the way, we have to give this as well. I think if we didn't answer our spouse, that would probably be a kind of a problem. So I'm gonna assume that the person that we are married
so
to.
Mom popped in your head, like in the middle of your answer, you're talking about this teacher, you're thinking about this person, and all of a sudden you said, wrong answer, wrong. Yeah. I need to edit.
But if I'm honest, I mean, that really is the most impactful person I'm with all the time. So let's credit that person.
But also, Pistol, like, you may be like a geriatric when it comes to technology. Mom is way beyond that. So she's only going to hear this if you play it for her.
I know. Okay. So there's that. And she will definitely hear. But to go beyond, I think at the most impressionable time when I was in business, there was a leader who I idolized. I thought he was like John Wayne. I thought he was a great dad. I thought he was an amazing leader. He happened to be also an exceptional salesperson. I've mentioned him many times in the past. He spoke at my retirement. I had lunch with him just the other day. His name Mert McGill, who sold LexisNexis to the U.S. Supreme Court. All 9 justices showed up for the sales call, and he successfully sold our product in the early days of our business. He's just this legendary figure that was very tough. He wasn't a nice, soft, squishy guy. He was tough, but man, did we respect the daylights out of that guy. So he's somebody that was probably impactful at a really important, impressionable age for me.
Age?
I mean, the Pistol says that name. I remember Mert McGill, the name. So obviously he had an impact. I remember from being a young kid. I don't know if I can't like zero in on just one I don't know if that's the question exactly, but I mean, I'm the youngest of 3 boys. So you, Ryan, my middle brother, Burke, my oldest brother, you guys, giant impact on me my whole life, trying to do what you guys were doing. Obviously Pistol and Mom, basically what you see every day, what you grow up doing is what I think kind of molds you, or you get your whole, as smart people say, that's how it informs me for the rest of my life or whatever. Like, people try to sound smarter than they are. Oh, well, that's how I'm informed or whatever. My opinion's informed through that, even though I'm using that not even the right way. But that's a giant impact. But a couple guys pop out in my head. A guy named Mark Lavatt, who I think both of you know, Pistol knows maybe a little better than Ryan. He was strength coach in Green Bay when I was there. Now he's the assistant strength coach because the dude is, he was the head strength coach. The new head coach comes in and he says, hey, no, the guy who's my assistant, he should be the head guy. So Mark gets his buddy promoted to the head strength coach and takes the assistant strength coaching gig because he felt like Chris Gizzy, it was his time. He'd done the work. He'd been there. He'd done everything. And now he should be the head strength coach. And that's what it is still today.
Whoa, I didn't know that. Are you serious? He demoted himself?
Yeah, when he interviewed with LaFleur. He didn't say it. LaFleur told people that, I guess. But he interviewed with LaFleur and said, hey, this guy, Gizzy, should be the main dude right now. And he kind of took the assistant role. So that's the kind of guy Mark is. And he's not your prototypical strength coach. He played baseball in college. So he's not the big old meathead looking dude, but he's very fit, very strong, but like the most cerebral. What he would always tell me, say, "Hey, Tuna, my dad told me still waters run deep." He always said that. He calls me Tuna because we like The Office, so we'd call each other Tuna and still text. And he's such a unique character in that whole NFL world. It was awesome. Like I gravitated to him instantly, and he definitely changed how I viewed certain things. Like the times when he would have to tell me, like, "Hey man, like you're doing it wrong." That like instantly stopped it. Like if I thought something was dumb, if I thought, I think I've told people before, like in like stretch lines, and I don't like stretching. I never loved stretching and warming up. If I was kind of mocking it or making a joke of it, like one time he just came to me and he's like, "I'm just telling you," like he basically told me, "No, like you're wrong here. Just figure it out. Stop it." And I was like, "Ooh, okay." And it scared you enough that I still remember it being in the stretch line when he comes over and doesn't raise his voice, doesn't say anything, but basically was like, "You're an idiot. Like you're stupid. I get what you're doing and you're wrong." And he didn't even have to say in those words, but it had a huge impact on me. And that's how he is. Guys like that, I'm super lucky. There's a lot of them, but he's one. If I had to like pick, I think Mark Lovat definitely has a giant impact from when I first got in the NFL and now 20 years later.
I would assume he's a guy who only speaks when necessary, so that when he does, it really means something.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's very, yeah. He's the greatest guy to like sit on a bus and have a conversation with. But yeah, he's not wasting words. Like if he's speaking, it's for a reason.
I think that's a great lesson for leaders in general, because that's the type of leader we want to be, right? Is when I decide to speak, there's a purpose behind it. Like you think of stand-up comedians and economy of words. I think leaders should think of it the same way. If you're in a meeting, the person who always speaks up all the time throughout every single little bit of the meeting, eventually you just start tuning them out, or their words just carry so much less weight versus a Mark Lovat who, when he speaks up, you're like, "Oh, this is real." Like he means it. He's not just trying to hear himself talk. So I think that's a great leadership lesson from a real life story. If I did name somebody age, obviously our family is first and foremost before anything else. And it sets the model for how you should behave. So I think we have that. Pat mentioned some of that stuff for Pistol. I'd have to just go back to Coach Greg and Coach Allery. It's such the formative years of your life when you're an 8th grader and they ask you to come work out with a varsity team, and you're still not sure of yourself. You're not confident yet. You're small and skinny. And I say you're on a meaning me. And then they look at you and say, "You're going to play for us. Like you're actually going to help us win games." And I'm still thinking, "No, there's no way. Are you kidding me? I'm not good enough to do that." And then what they teach you from a leadership perspective is that you can instill belief in other people. And if you prove to them that you believe in them, you can help them perform at levels that are higher that they even think they're capable of. So I draw so much from them too, because they did that for me, that I now hope to try to do that for other people. And so this idea of creating belief, I love meeting maybe people a little bit younger who aren't fully sure. I had another Centerville quarterback guy named Alec Grandin at my event in Nashville recently, and Alec's way beyond his years. He's 22 now, and I love the thought of me and Brooke Cups and some other older people instilling belief in what he's going to do for his career. And I fully expect him to be a general manager in the NFL someday. That's his goal. That's his dream. And he's really diligent about wanting to do this. And so to be able to play that role that Coach Greg and Coach Allery played for us, I think that's pretty cool. That's a good feeling. And I feel super lucky and grateful that we got to experience those guys, because, you go to college and you hear about the coaches of your teammates. And I kind of looked around and talked to a lot of guys, and I realized nobody's got the stories that I've got. Nobody has the Coach Greg and Coach Allery's that I had. So it just you realize, oh, what was normal for me was not the case for everybody else, and that's pretty surreal experience when you fully have time to reflect on how impactful they were.
Well, think how lucky we were that's where we grew up, and that's who our coaches were. Like Coach Greg, legend there for 30 years, and then Coach Allery takes over after he was the offensive coordinator for so long, and everyone else. My linebacker coach, Larry Knopfsinger, like I call into I call into Bobby Carpenter's radio show every Friday, and they have like an intro that they made for when I call in, and the end of it says, "Still scared of Larry Knopfsinger." Like it's a voiceover guy. And because Bobby's co-host went to Centerville as well. And it's just, yeah, it's like, when you look back, man, yeah, our life would have been a lot different if we didn't have those guys. If they weren't our coaches, like everything would have been different, I think.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine. Let's go to some of the quicker ones that I have before we draft. Pat's section dug in a little bit to our outline here, which I'm so grateful that he did. Pistol, I like this one. I got asked about family traditions. How about you start with this? What is one of our best family traditions?
I think the one that pops to my mind that we have certainly exercised the most, that began AJ's rookie year in Green Bay and continued on, and we even did it before
I think second year.
Okay.
When was Clay drafted? Is he the year younger than you?
Oh, his dad helped us with some of our work.
Third year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, well, early in his career at Green Bay, and continues on to this day. We even did it in the back room before we went on to your wedding day. I recall we modified it slightly. It was something we called the victory shot. And it was to signify there's something really important and awesome about to happen. And we're gonna start it with an exclamation point. And I mean, it was very simple. It was play healthy, play great, win the game. And occasionally we get a little bit more excited about that last phrase and add some things to it. And we would all down our commemorative victory shot. And some of them are more memorable than others. The Super Bowl, you and I think in a parking garage in Chicago when it's about 10 degrees.
Super Bowl run.
To sit there before AJ plays in the NFC Championship game. I was by myself in Seattle when AJ's out there for the NFC Championship game, and it's just me and a bunch of strangers. And you said you got to do a victory shot, and I found a stranger wearing a Green Bay hat. I got him a shot, and we did the thing with his girlfriend videoing it so we could send it to you. So the victory shot clearly has been a great family tradition.
And now it's kind of gotten beyond just the games and stuff since we're not playing. I remember we were at the game with Clay's dad, so I guess that would be Clay Matthews number 2. Your teammate was Clay 3, right, Age? Yeah. And he said, you know the goals for these games, right? You know what the goal is here. I was like, what are we talking about? He goes, you got to stay healthy first and foremost. That's the first goal. I want Clay to stay healthy. Then I hope he plays great. Then I want him to get some sacks, maybe a turnover or something. And then I want us to win the game. And that's the order of priorities. And I was like, I like that. Stay healthy, play great, let's go win the game. And as I watched you play, Age, those are my goals. I first and foremost want you to walk off the field healthy as you can be. And then I want you to play great. Like, I'm not going to lie, if you got 4 sacks or that Baltimore game, I think you guys won that game. You sacked Flacco 3 times, or you get an interception when you pick off Favre or whatever it may be. I cared a little bit more about you playing well and being healthy than the team win. But it is the trifecta is if you get all 3, right? Is if you're healthy, you play great, and your team wins. That's the ultimate. And now that we still kind of keep that tagline with whatever we do, and now we watch our kids play, Age, and I'm thinking the same things. I just want to, all right, Charlie's got a broken arm. I hope she doesn't hurt this thing worse when she's playing soccer, so I hope she stays healthy. I hope she plays great, and it'd be nice if we win the game. So I think the victory shot has turned into a pretty cool tradition that can go on. And there is a shot at the end. That's what the victory shot is, right? A Washington apple.
And then Pistol throws down his shot. It's usually plastic shot glasses. Pistol's a left-hander. Southpaw fires that thing on the ground, and like the whole crowd erupts, and it's like, let's go to the stadium.
We've done and we always invited guests through the years, right? There's been a lot of guests who have done a lot of victory shots.
Does anyone have that? You should put those. Of all the ones that you have filmed, you should put those all.
We
together.
didn't film enough, and we should. We got a lot of pictures. We could put.
Remember in the garage when we had
Brian
from the office, Brian Baumgartner, and he loved it, and he went on a national sports show the next week, and is describing the victory shot to the host.
We should. One of the most epic ones, though, it was the Super Bowl. Pistol sitting there, very stoic, serious look, Age. We're all sitting there, and everyone's eyes are dialed in. It's like the coach is getting ready to give the pregame speech for the Super Bowl. You're wearing Ohio State gear. I remember I'm looking pretty intent. There's beers everywhere, but we all got our Washington apple ready to go. Looking at Pistol, he's like, "This is the most serious victory shot of all time." And what a night to win that Super Bowl that you did, and you were captain of that team, and to have you guys win and then go hang out with Kid Rock afterwards was pretty epic. How about Pistol? This one's interesting. It's a little different. We did Storyworth. They've been a sponsor of this podcast. This obviously isn't sponsored, but Storyworth, I love it. It created a really cool book that you made for all of us. But one of them was on keys to a great marriage. And now that you and Mom are down in Florida for a part of the year, you're on to this next stage where it's mainly your kids are kind of doing their thing. So we still need you and want you, but not as much as we used to. It's more grandkid stuff, or it's now just you two kind of doing your own thing. What would be some of your age? I'm going to ask you too, so get ready. But Pistol, what would be some of your thoughts on the keys to a great marriage, given that there are so many different stages that you've been through, pre-kids, or at least pre-us? Burke was there when you guys met, but that stage, then as we grew up, and now when we're out of the house.
Well, I think we kind of called our shot early before we got married. When we went out and got rings, inside my ring are 3 letters: C, a C, and a C. 3 letter C's, and they all stand for something important. The first one, the C, is for communication. We believe that you need to talk and talk often and talk real. I mean, not just talk at each other or over each other. Talk, listen. So that's a big one. Communication has always been key for us. We still sit every morning and have our coffee, talk about important stuff of the day. The second C stands for consideration. And so think about this is another important person. In fact, it's the most important person in your life. Be considerate, be a nice person, be great in the way you deal with them and respect them always. And the third one, the C, is a kind of a fun one. Stands for cuddling, and it says, "Don't forget that's your girlfriend right there," and vice versa. And we've kind of lived by that and evolved. It clearly changes as you get older. It has gotten better, not worse. I think it's possible for relationships to get stale. I think we got juice at key compelling moments. When you guys left the house, right, in your different phases, AJ being the last one, we were really concerned about that because you guys were so important to our daily lives, and not being around us all the time was going to change things. So that was a critical moment, and our CCCs helped us through that a lot. And then all the way through to seeing your careers and your kids. That's given us new life, new juice. And then retirement, you've got to plan and do things. I think one of the most important things is to not just show up every day and kind of, watch TV, check your email. And you got to plan things, go do things, plan key events to always be excited about. And we do that, and we continue to do that. And so, I think my little CCC on the ring from the very beginning has held pretty true for us.
Love it. H.
Well, I mean, that's well said by Pistol. I just wonder if Mom could interpret the 3 C's as well as he could. Do you think she could talk us through the 3 C's as well as you can, Pistol?
She's a co-author, so yes, she could.
Okay. She just lets you be the mouthpiece for that. Okay, I get it. I understand. But I mean, there's no there's no special pill. There's no special I always say it for anything. There's no boom, here we go. There's your solution. That's all you got to do. And successful marriage, 50 years, you're going to be happy. No, first off, you got to get lucky to where the person you decide to marry, it's legit, and everything that you thought before you got married is still the same after marriage, and it gets better. Like Pistol said, I've been married 16 years now, which is crazy, how long I've been married, and it's way better now. And I'm not saying it was ever bad, but I think of it all the time. I tell my wife, I'm like, I think you're better looking now than you've ever been in your life. I'm trying to keep up, but I think I like her way more than I used to. And I'm not saying I didn't like her before, but I'm saying it always gets better. And it sounds like you're saying negative things.
It feels like you haven't thought this through. It feels like you have not thought this through.
I tell Laura this
all the time. It leads with toxicity.
No, oh my God.
I tell her this. It doesn't mean anything. Like the day I got married, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is the best. Obviously, I wasn't worried at all. Like, this is what I want. But it's only gotten better from there is what I'm saying. It wasn't like, oh, we had this great honeymoon phase and we were cool. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Everything's great. And it was almost like it wasn't real life. And then now we get into real life and we hate each other. It's not that. It's better because we're around each other more and the kids and everything we do. But I think Pistol's saying you got to schedule things and do things. Absolutely. Don't just, because once you have kids, there's like, you have to have your rhythm, your routine you're in, but you got to change that up sometimes. You got to do things, whether like whatever it may be, whatever you enjoy doing, even like being able to go for a walk when it's nice or do whatever. I got these little electric scooters we go around on, just whatever you want to do, come up with stuff and hang out. And also though, like it's good to have other couples that you're friends with, that you get along with, where the wives get along, everyone gets along, and everyone's cool. Pistol and Mom are lucky. Like you've had that card club, as you call it, for however many years, where you still hang out with the same couples you hung out with. I remember being a little kid and you guys would have these like monthly parties at somebody's house, and Pistol was always the ringleader, would bring the big easel home from LexisNexis or Mead Data Central back then. And you'd set it up in the living room. And I remember like creeping out of my room and watching them play like win, lose, or draw or Pictionary. That Pistol would always be, Pistol was always the game guy, the high energy, like Pat Sajak, bringing everybody together. But I think things like that are cool. Like I find myself in situations like that every once in a while with other couples. I don't have the juice and the natural charisma Pistol has to bring the easel and run the show, but I love being a part of those things. And I think it helps in a relationship too, because you want to try to perform and make your spouse laugh too at times. Like that's my whole goal, is to get an audible laugh out of my wife, because it's pretty tough to do, because I throw a lot at her on a day-to-day basis. So when I can get her off kilter and get her to laugh at something, it makes me feel great. I love it.
Which happens a lot. I've been witness to a lot of them, and it was cool when we talked about with Brady, when I worked with Laura to make that mug for you. It was really neat to see the stories that she had told about you and your relationship over the years to help put that thing together. I think you have to really admire the person and have deep respect for who they are and what they do. I think that's what I have, an admiration for the excellence of Miranda's just being as a person, as well as I think the person needs, it's nice, at least, I guess in my case, if their presence makes you a better person. I think that's a really big key. I think they have to. I think your spouse has to make you, your spouse needs to like help you grow and be a better person and not be stuck in whatever you are. Like you can't stay a sheltered couple together that never is scared to death to have a view, or even, I know people who, I don't know why it frustrates me, where it's almost like couples are scared to even hear somebody else's opinion or hear somebody's view. Oh, that's not me. It's like, just be open to other stuff too. Yeah, I agree. I think that's big. And so when you have this mutual respect and admiration for just the way they are, their work ethic, their toughness, their resilience, their beauty, their ability to love, I think that's important. Our situation is different. And Pistol, you could experience a little bit with me, but coming into a relationship when both people have kids is so different. You have to love each other's kids as if they're your own, and that doesn't automatically happen. That takes, at least for me, there's a love there, but that takes some time. It's different, and it goes both ways. But then to build it from that, I think if you get past that initial stage, it can be so strong, because it's harder initially than it is if you didn't have any kids, I think, going into it. So I think that's really big. And then, growing together is big. I read a quote about you actually have to kind of love 4 or 5 different people, because as you grow, you hopefully are becoming better. You're not necessarily changing, but you are a little different in each of these stages. It's important, I think, to both have your own thing, but then to also kind of grow towards a similar spot is really important. And then, as you said, Age, I think it's really key. When I was doing research for my last book, The Pursuit of Excellence, and asked about friendship, which I think is important in a marriage, that you're actually genuinely friends, the subject of laughter came up so much about transformational friendships, of when I was doing my own research, of just so many people and how they needed and wanted laughter and humor. And I think it's underrated in a relationship that it's so helpful it's so helpful to have that as be part of your regular interactions, that you actually make each other laugh. And I've seen the extent that you go to try to make that happen. And it not only works with Laura, but probably with everybody in the room. So I think that's key. Do you guys want to do the draft?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't wait to see Pistol's draft.
Okay. So here is let me lay this out. The draft. It is your birthday. You are having dinner. Now, we've had some really cool family dinners on our birthdays over the years. Mine was one of the recent ones that I absolutely loved. It was the only gift I asked for from Miranda is, can you try to get everybody together? Because it's hard with all our kid stuff. And we did it. Mom's had some epic ones, Pistol. I feel like we skip over yours, the full family. Sometimes we have like a little mixture of people that make it. And then Age, your birthday is a big one on the calendar that we try to make it to Columbus too, and Bobby's there and everything. But for this particular birthday, no family is around. They've abandoned you. Like, they're out of town. They can't make it. So you get to pick who's at that table, and you get to pick no friends that are like your inside buddies that none of us have ever heard of. So there's your friends are out of town, your family's out of town, but you can pick any human in the world, and they'll be at that table. So probably going to be somebody that we've heard of. Maybe it's somebody that'd be hard to get. Pistol, we're not dragging out Abraham Lincoln's corpse or anything like that. These people need to be alive.
Oh, they got to be alive now?
Yes. Yeah, I told you this ahead of time.
That's fine. I can pivot. I can think on my feet. This is going to be even better.
You had some dead people? You want to sit dead people at the table?
A lot of dead people. Yeah, I thought it was a hypothetical situation. This is great.
Go with the alive.
No, this is real, Age. It's January 6th, Age's birthday. Yeah. And what? Yeah.
Continue.
So, okay, hold on. So that's what it is. So it's your birthday, and anybody in the world can be there who is going to be at your table. And we're going to draft, so like we normally do. So once somebody drafts them, they're off the table. So we're seeing who could have the most interesting, coolest, most fun birthday dinner. We're each going to get 5 people. So the table's got 6 seats. It's you and 5 other people. Pistol, you're going first. I'm going second. Age is the snake. He doesn't understand snake drafts still after doing this 7 times.
Two picks.
He gets 2 picks. Yes, 2 picks, and then back to me. Then Pistol gets 2, and back and forth until we get 5. So, Pistol, set the tone. I have you go first because I know you would never pick anybody that Age and I want, and I go ahead of him because I'm not letting him steal my pick. Who is the first person at your birthday table?
And I think it's conceivable that Ryan would draft you, although maybe not number 1. My first draft pick is someone I idolized. I read about him. I went to see him in person multiple times. He played stadiums, and in his line of work, there aren't many guys playing stadiums. His name is Steve Martin.
I knew it. He's on my board.
Comedian, great actor. Great participant in Saturday Night Live, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin. Okay. By the way, I should have asked, did you have a philosophy for this draft? I'm not going to ask Age. I know he doesn't. Do you have a philosophy for this draft?
Yep. One common theme. Okay. 2 things about their one common theme. They are great storytellers. Oh. And the lives they have lived, they have lots of stories to tell.
I like it. Okay. Mine philosophy, I like the storytelling element. They must be great communicators. That's big. I want to laugh, and I want to learn. So, got to be great communicators. I want to laugh, and I want to learn. So there are some people that may be interesting, but if they're not gonna, if they can't really share well, it's not going to work. So, my first pick, I think one of the most interesting humans in the world currently. He is very famous, but I think he still seems genuine and even somehow down to earth, even though he's got immense fame. And so my first pick is The Rock. He's going to be at my birthday table. The Rock is my first pick.
That's a pretty good pick. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think he's kind of got it all. You know what I mean? He's kind of got it all.
He might be the president someday, honestly.
Yeah, I would probably vote for him. I mean, he kind of has it all. He's still relatable, even though he's not relatable at all. You know what I mean? It's weird. Okay, you get 2 picks. Who you going with?
All right, my first pick, which I'm glad this person was not off the board. First pick, no question, Tom Cruise. Coming off the Top Gun success again. I believe Tom was in my celebrity foursome or whatever foursome we picked last time to play golf. So Tom Cruise, no question. Nobody messes with TC. He just the newest Top Gun made like $10 billion right after they held it for 3 years during COVID, put it out. The guy saved the whole movie industry. He single-handedly saved movie theaters, I think. So
how about he did? And how about the fact that this guy understands the moment enough that when you go into the theater to watch Top Gun Maverick, the first thing you see is him talking directly to you, right into the camera.
Has that ever happened for any other movie?
No, of course not. It was awesome. I loved it. It set the tone. It was awesome. I was so good. Yeah. All right, Tom Cruise.
Good. I get another one, pick. Right?
Yeah, you get another one.
Another one. This actually ties hand in hand because I think when you couple these two people together, great conversations may happen. I doubt I would even have to throw any questions over there. My whole philosophy, I think I'm curious. There's people I'd like to ask questions to, and these are people that I would have a lot of questions for. I'm strictly out of like, man, that's cool. You seem to live a crazy life. Oh, this next one, she's dead. I can't use her. It was Amelia Earhart. Why can't I use dead people?
You went through the whole setup. This is what's amazing. You went through the entire setup of who you were going to say and didn't realize until the last second.
Well, she may not be dead.
You're right. Actually, we
never found a body.
Put it on the list then. She's my pick.
You're picking Amelia Earhart because we haven't found her yet?
No body. There's been no body, and who knows? I've read a lot of conflicting reports. She may be somewhere over in Brazil. We don't know. But Amelia Earhart, we know Tom Cruise, he owns a P-51 that he flies himself. He flies every plane. I think
you want pilots? You want pilots?
No. These two pilots. These two are strictly pilots because can you imagine the questions? Tom Cruise would stare at Amelia Earhart with his eyes so big just because Tom is a very, very curious dude. I would like to watch Tom just ask Amelia questions for 2 straight hours.
I still think it's amazing that you went through the entire setup and forgot the rules on your second pick. It's not your 5th pick, your second pick.
To be honest,
I bailed him out.
As I had Amelia Earhart down first, then I had Tom Cruise on my list next. And then I realized I was going to get 2 picks. I was like, well, yeah, I got to couple these 2 together because the aviation aspect. And so I got excited about that. I forgot we weren't doing dead people. But then I remembered, hey, she might not be dead. Here we go. I got 2 picks on the board.
All right. Okay. Tom Cruise, Amelia Earhart. It's great. Neither on my board, shockingly. But so I get to go next.
Don't steal my next ones either.
Yeah. I get to go next. I've got to pick a local guy. Local Ohio fame.
Mike Hartsock.
And I want to laugh, and I want to be told stories. Dave Chappelle is my second pick.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Building a comedy club within 20 miles of us.
I know. Dave Chappelle, local guy, Yellow Springs, Ohio. Pistol, you get 2 picks.
Oh, man, what an opportunity. This next one was an athlete that was my number one. I had written his number inside my baseball glove my entire life as long as I played baseball. I modeled myself after him as much as I possibly could as a player. I think he has some of the greatest stories ever.
Pete Rose?
He's one of the funniest athletes ever. AJ spent a day with him. I happen to know it is Pete Rose.
Ooh, he's a little controversial here, but
don't worry about the gambling. I'm talking about having a good time at dinner.
We're not talking gambling.
I'm having a good time at dinner.
I think Pistol's only read part of the things written about him. But that's just fine. That's good. Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
It's good.
Okay, Pete Rose.
This is going to be a fun dinner.
Steve Martin, Pete Rose. Okay, so who's your next pick?
Yeah.
A legend, one of 2 remaining legends from the most legendary musical group of all time, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
At dinner. I love the way he talks. He's got stories that are immense. I've read most of the Beatles books about how they came up, and it's an amazing story. Paul McCartney.
All right. That's pretty good. I love. He seems great. Heard him on Stern a lot and other places. That carpool karaoke. He was what a day James Corden had with him. That was awesome. That's a good one. Okay, well I'm going to stay with music because I want to be entertained. And there is a lot of musicians. I actually have a whole column of musicians to pick, but I'm going to have to go with Dave Matthews. He's got to be here. He's got to have his guitar, much like Eddie Vedder had at my golf outing age in our last draft. But Dave, bring the guitar, and we're going to play a little bit throughout the dinner and maybe afterwards. But he is my third pick, Dave. So I got two Daves, Dave Chappelle and now Dave Matthews.
Good. It's on me for one pick now, right?
Nope, you get two.
I get two. All right. What if I don't need two?
Well, I mean, you're
going
to mess up the snake draft, so you got to take two.
Give me one. I want one pick because sometimes how you guys pick, like a little callback, it informs how my next pick will be. So sometimes you trigger other ideas I might.
So you're going to pick, and then it's coming back to me. So you're going to take your third, and I'm taking my fourth.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of you guys.
That's fine. You're just you're giving up your fourth round draft pick. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm being a good teammate because I understand. Like I'm not. Although Paul McCartney did cross my mind earlier, and like Ryan said, like Paul McCartney somehow, he's been so famous for so many years. He's still touring. You listen to that guy, like he goes on podcasts, he goes on things, and he legit seems like a normal dude. Like he seems like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like he seems like such a nice dude. Like it's really cool to see that. He'd be a great dinner guest. But my next one, I'm sure it will come with much, anger from you guys. But no, this guy's easy. I think he may have been on my golf foursome list, but none other than the man, because I want to laugh, I want to have fun, and I want a guy that's going to bring on a positive energy. The mayor, Sean Casey. Absolutely.
Sean Casey.
This is a dinner. You could easily have dinner with him probably next week.
Sean Casey, have you seen how excited that dude is? That guy is. So he wakes up and jumps out of bed and is so excited. There's no way I could slow him down enough to have dinner with that guy.
Yeah, you could. I bet if you sent him a note, you could. I've seen him on your show.
Send us the clip. Then this is a great. Okay. I'm very glad we did this episode. If Sean gets this clip, I would love to go to dinner with
this
Sean.
And put it on Twitter.
All right, we'll clip this. Sean Casey, which I think this is the most nothing against Sean. I just think this is realistic. This could happen. Some of the ones on my list, probably not, but maybe someday. So you're saying you're just going to forfeit your fourth round pick right now?
Yeah, I want to see what you guys have.
Yep. He's going to take it later. Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to come back to me. I'm thinking about music. I'm thinking about humor. I'm thinking about learning, and I know I can wait on this next one because you guys will not pick that person. So I know for sure. I'm gonna wait because I think I'm gonna go. So I think we got to bring a combination of great storytelling, humor, quarterback play, leadership. I need all of that. Businessman now building another empire. I got to pick Peyton Manning as my fourth pick.
Good pick.
Good pick.
So Peyton Manning.
Peyton's great on TV, man. Peyton's great at everything he does. He is such a great personality, and he's so smart. I love watching him. I watch he and Eli together, too. I think Eli's a great match with him, too. Eli is very under the radar, very funny.
Super funny. Yeah, he's great. I love when Pat has gone on with him on the Manning cast a few times. He's electric on that, too. Okay, Pistol, you get your fourth and fifth pick. Then I get my fifth, and then Age somehow gets his fourth and fifth because it's so jacked up. But Pistol, fourth and fifth pick.
Fourth pick. I met him briefly when I was 17 years old. It was outside the stadium, outside the players' locker room in Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. No, it is not Johnny Bench or any of those guys. I wanted to be a sportscaster when I was in high school. I said, where am I going to go to college? This guy comes walking out the door, who he later went on to greatness beyond being the Reds broadcaster. He went to the Giants. He most notably broadcast the Miracle on Ice, the Olympic Games. None other than Al Michaels. Great professional and amazing stories for sure.
Wow. So you got four old dudes. All right. We're going to keep it. Is the fifth one going to be another old guy or what?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
All right.
Yes, it is. Well, a lifetime of fame and admiration. And the fifth is actually my favorite, who I knew none of you would pick, so I held on to it. If I had dinner with just one person, I might ask this person to come along. It would be none other than the guy who wrote, was the first act signed by Paul McCartney and John Lennon to their new label, Apple Records, over in London. He went on to be a star and continues to sell out stadiums. It's James Taylor.
Wow.
He's still doing stadiums?
He still does. He still does.
Wow. So you got Steve Martin, Pete
He's in
Rose.
Europe right now. Just announced this morning he has COVID. Canceled a couple of shows in Germany, but he's still going strong.
Steve Martin, Pete Rose, Paul McCartney, Al Michaels, and James Taylor. That's not
a row of old guys. Yeah.
Not a bad dinner with old guys. All right. I like it. So so my fifth, a few of the people that were on my board are still here. And so I'm debating between two of them.
Take two of them. We'll give you them both.
I am going to add them both.
He's a rule breaker.
Okay, I'm going to have 6 at my dinner. The first one is, this is in the learning column. This is somebody who I have emailed over 100 times. There's even a phone number on her website that I've called multiple times and left voicemails because I want her to come on my podcast, and I'm certain it will happen at some point. She is a presidential historian, one of the greatest storytellers I've ever seen, wickedly smart, and has written some amazing books. Her name is Doris Kearns Goodwin, and Leadership in Turbulent Times is one of her best books, and I am committed to making that happen. I hope she sees this somehow and actually responds to one of these emails and says yes to come on the show. But Doris Kearns Goodwin is pick number 5 for me, and age tells me I get 6 picks, so I'm going to take it. Is that right?
Absolutely, take it.
All right. My 6th pick, because of probably the stage I'm in as a dad, this is how this person popped up on my list, and their tour just got announced, and I want to go and probably take at least one child, maybe more. One of the greatest entertainers in the world, a singer, a songwriter, a performer. I am having Taylor Swift at my birthday dinner.
Okay.
Thank you for the extra
good change up. Yeah, no, of course. You are welcome. It's your show.
Thank you.
You get 15 if you want.
Okay. Now,
Age,
on me? Your last 2.
This one's easy. I'm surprised this one wasn't taken earlier. Sometimes this human gets added into people's golf foursomes they love to play with, but Tiger Woods, no question. Got to put Tiger on the list. Tiger.
Do you think he would be? Do you think he'd be an interesting dinner guest though? Because I thought of Tiger. In
this hypothetical thing, in this hypothetical situation that we got all these people together, in my brain, I assume they're all super open, super honest, and have their guards completely down. And they know no one's filming. We're all in the nest here. We're going to get the real details of what's going on.
Looking at your list, this would be the weirdest dinner of all time. It doesn't even matter who you pick 5th. This would be the weirdest dinner.
Yeah, it does. My 5th pick goes hand in hand. My 5th pick ties them all together.
Okay, who's the 5th pick?
They'll just have a place setting for Amelia.
Yeah. You might not even know. Hey.
Well, I didn't know your last 5th pick because your whole goal was to derail and ruin the draft, and you did it. So are you about to do it again?
You were about to say something, though.
What? I was?
You were saying something before I was going to give my 5th pick. You went through my list.
I was getting ready to go through your list to say how weird it is and to see if you're going to add some random Italian painter or whatever.
Piero Manzoni is not coming. He is not on my list because I didn't want to be redundant. I'd already done that here for the listeners. I don't want to do that to them. They've already
number 5.
They've already Googled and they saw the dude was canning his dumps. They know, like, hey, it happened. It was real. You guys thought I was joking, but my last one, and it goes into theory. Like we're talking. You want to laugh. You want to have fun, but also this person is very, very weirdly intelligent and smart on a lot of different things, and fearless at the same time. Not sure if you guys know who this person is, but he's the comedian Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon right now is killing it. And Tim Dillon is super interesting to me and super funny. And I think when you couple him with Tiger Woods, can you imagine Tim Dillon talking to Tiger Woods and Tom Cruise, the questions that guy has? I don't have to say a word. So it's my dream dinner. I don't want to have to speak, but I want to sit there and listen to, I want to listen to interesting people answer questions from a guy like Tim Dillon or Sean Casey. If anyone can get somebody to open up, it's Sean Casey. So I think sorry for winning this snake draft, but I had a lot of fun doing it.
So
I thought you were going Pete Davidson.
I have to ask, who is, and we had dinner like this in Tahoe this year, Age, who is the person in charge of the iPad to play the songs that we all sing along to?
At this dinner at my table?
Of course. It's got to be Tom, right?
I mean, I wanted to even like envision a world where Tom Cruise wouldn't have control of the iPad, and I couldn't even bring my brain to do it. Tom is in control. No, it's not even a question.
It's kind of the alpha in the room has the iPad. They have the iPad. They're picking the songs that we're all then. Wait, are we supposed to sing along?
Like it, yeah, and even if we hate these songs that Tom plays, there's some underground garbage we've never heard. We're all humming like we do. Of course, Tom. Yeah, keep playing the hits, bud. You got it.
I do have a great video from when we were there, and Connor was just going crazy for the song Boston. Which what a moment. What a moment. That is the draft. Age has Tom Cruise, Amelia Earhart, Sean Casey, Tiger Woods, and Tim Dillon. The most random grouping of humans ever. I got The Rock, Dave Chappelle, Dave Matthews, Peyton Manning, Doris Kearns Goodwin, and Taylor Swift. Pistol, Steve Martin, Pete Rose, Paul McCartney, Al Michaels, James Taylor. We'll make a little graph for that. Amazing draft. I'd say if we had to rate it, Pistol, for the people listening who are above 55, Pistol will win. For everybody else, I'll win. So it was a good draft.
No winners. It's all subjective. It's all subjective. There's no winners here. There's no winners. And you know what? I think the real winner is Pistol because his draft's not nearly as terrible as I thought it might be. I thought he might pick some real duds.
I'll take the W. Yeah,
I would love to have dinner at Pistol's table. That'd be fun.
I would too. I think it'd be fun. I think the combo of Steve Martin would make it really funny. Al Michaels would tell the best stories. I've seen him on your show when he wears the cutoff and he smokes a cigar. And he's really he gets it. He understands what's going on, right? He understands. Paul McCartney playing left-handed guitar. I mean, that'd be pretty good with James Taylor playing right-handed. I think that could be a pretty good table. So not bad, Pistol, but I still think he won from the 55 and over crowd, which is good. It's good. It's good victory.
That's my crowd.
Anyway, I know we went long. Thank you guys. Thanks for doing this again. We'll do it again probably at the next 100th of it, 600. So we might make that sooner than this one because we're going to release more episodes per week. Really mapped out how to kind of amp it up a little bit with the show because I think that that's in demand, which is great. And so I want to do more of that. So next time we record, it hopefully won't be as long from these last few since we did 200, 300, 400, and now 500. That's pretty wild. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of episodes. So I thank you guys for doing this. Wow.
Congratulations on 500, Ryan. It's an amazing accomplishment, and a lot of things have happened in those 500 episode times.
Think about it. I mean, from this started in I started recording in 2014. We released it, the first one in 2015. That's a lot of life. That's a lot of stuff was going on. Age, what year did you even retire from the NFL?
I guess in 2015 season, 2016 playoffs.
Yeah, you were still playing.
The last one. Wait, when you started it.
You got another month thrown in there with the Falcons in that next year.
That was that year, though, right? No, I thought that was that season.
16 season, I think, was the Falcons. 15 was the Bengals. 14 was the last Packers.
Oh, that's whatever. Wild. It's hard because the Super Bowl is always, like, 2017, but I was there in 16, stuff like that. Yeah. Okay.
Wild. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll obviously be doing it again, and this was awesome. I'm glad I got to win another draft. All right. See you guys.